Good anytime, my fuzzy ice, and welcome to a quick review of Sonic R. Uh, as I always do for these reviews, I do it into one to five scoring system. 0-1 being that whatever the game was going for just failed miserably. It did not impress me and made me completely hate the experience because of it. 3 being that whatever it was going for, it hit. It didn't do much more, didn't do any less. It was just meh. It just basic hit it. And 5 being whatever it went for really blew my mind, really went the extra mile, and really got me to a good place where I can go, yeah, that's good. I love it. Perfect. So as always, as well, let's start with the story of the game. So the story that you don't get from the game at all, but from the manual, is basically Sonic Tails running down a road when they spot a sign for a Grand Prix race. They go, oh, okay. Oh, no, Dr. Eggman's joining in. Let's go. They go. Dr. Eggman's like, yes, perfect. I'll beat them in a race and get the Chaos Emeralds. He is in the race as well. So he is going to, I guess, the location to get the Chaos Emeralds. Knuckles joins in the fray because he doesn't want to fight. Robotnik has gleaming eyes in the background of characters we do not know of to quote-unquote help him win these races and get the emeralds. And Amy overhears Robotnik somehow because Robotnik saw through a satellite. Yeah, it's weird. So the whole thing is basically Robotnik, there's a race, Robotnik's either created it or is in it, and the main thing is they're trying to stop him from getting the Chaos Emeralds. Fun. The classic Sonic. And that takes you to 5 different areas. 4 to begin with, 1 to unlock. And yeah. Overall, for story, I'm going to give it a 4 because it does give a reason for all the characters being there. Robotnik, why he's doing whatever he's doing, and even introduces the special secret characters that you have to unlock through the challenge coins as well. And let you know, like, hey, there's something going on here. It gives you more of a cadence to play and find out what were the eyes, what's gleaming in the darkness, which I always appreciate. So yeah, I'm gonna give it 3.5 because it is basic, but introducing the side characters is something that would draw your interest into it. Is a good touch. I really enjoyed it, and it really works overall. But it's also a racing game. I don't know. Because the other problem is it's a racing game, and a lot of racing games don't have stories. So, but yeah, I'll give it a 3.5, because at least it's something interesting. Next up, let's go to the characters. Now, the characters, there's a wide array of characters. You have the 4 main ones to begin with, being Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles. As you go on, if you beat every race, coming first to every race, including the final mystery one, you unlock Robotnik. And then by going through each of the 4 primary courses at the beginning, you get to race against a certain character that if you beat them, you unlock them. And those 4 are Metal Sonic, Toy Tails, Metal Knuckles, and then, I guess, Metal Robotnik. I don't know his actual name. But like I said, it's a racing game, so characters, they don't really talk or do anything. The interesting thing that this game does, that love it or hate it, is that each character has their own mechanics. So for instance, Amy, she cannot jump because Amy's in a Sonic, Knuckles, Tails are running, but Amy and Robotnik are in vehicles. The vehicles, at some points in the race, there can be water. The vehicles will never go under the water. They'll always go over it. With Amy, you have a speed boost thing that I don't understand fully, but it seems to be worthless with everything considered. And she's quite slow. And Robotnik has a weapon that he can shoot. But again, it doesn't really stop people for long. So I don't really get that. But then, like, certain characters have a different way of moving. They handle better, some are faster, some can do stuff that others can't, like shoot enemies and whatnot. Overall, for characters, like, it's interesting. You don't usually get that in a racing game. Usually everyone is, well, I guess we see here for good reason, just flat out the same with very little differences. I guess in the newer Mario Kart, you have like stats and whatnot. And other games, racing games like car games, you kind of had stats and whatnot. But a lot of them just have it, you're all on even footing. So just, yeah, know what to do. But with this, I do like how if your character has their own thing, it doesn't really work fully. And I'll get to that mechanic-wise and whatnot. Or I'll talk about it more mechanic-wise and whatnot. But yeah, it's interesting enough. So I think I'm going to give it another 3.5. Because it's interesting that each character has their own gimmick, but not all gimmicks work, and some characters are just freaking terrible and you should not play as, in my opinion. Of course, it's my own opinion, as all these are. So I think it's interesting. It gets 0.5 for getting something interesting like that. But consider, for me, they should all be even and then like elevate it to something higher. Because like, oh yeah, Knuckles has his gliding thing. And I didn't really play with Tails, but he might have a multiple jump thing. I know Tails Doll kind of did sometimes. But anyways, with the characters, 3.5. The Sonic characters you love, it's a racing game, so it doesn't really dive into their whole aesthetic all that much. But it's still good. And then the setting. So there are technically five matches in the area. There is the island. I can't remember the names of them. Just bear with me, and soon you'll be Sonic our locations. Tracks. Trading system. Oh, they're all ours. So the first map you have is Resort Island, which is more or less your basic green hill zone with water, a lot of track, wood, not some wood area, trees and whatnot, but basically it's just your grass type area. And it's nice. It's beautiful. All the areas they have here are different and whatnot. One of the interesting things in these maps is there are doors that you need to get rings to be able to use to open up to get to more areas. I'll get to that later in mechanics more. But yeah, it's a nice area. Beautiful. It works well. Anything that doesn't work well is in mechanics, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, a very nice, somber area, being Radiant, Resort Island. The next area is Radical City. This is your kind of city, your, classic Sonic City place, where you have roads, you have highways, roads, and even some of the bumpers from the gambling areas in the games, which is neat. So I guess this is kind of like the Casino Land, pre-Casino Land. And again, very nice, beautiful area and whatnot. Works. With a lot of, every area also has its own little, multiple different paths, so you can find the best way to go around, or get faster, find stuff, yada yada yada. Next up, Regal Ruins. I just noticed all these are ours. Neat. I guess for Sonic Racing. Neat. Clever. Regal Ruins is their classic Sonic Ruins area, where it's just kind of sand, old hieroglyphic things, and stuff like that. Again, stands out. You don't really get much of it, or see much of it in the other areas, and very nice. The fourth area, that's pre-unlocked, is Reactive Factory, which is more of a factory area. You're running around sludge, and machinery going off and whatnot. This one is kind of like Radical City. Well, no. I won't say. Never mind. It is very much different looking than Radical City. With its own aesthetics, pathings, and whatnot, and what's in the environment. So it does stand out, even though they're both city or I guess, urban? No. Yeah, urban. Urban? Urban areas. I think that's the term. But still, very nice. Everything is nice, seeable, clearly what's going on. This one was the hardest though, because there are certain parts where you turn and then they would be the pit you're supposed to go is to your left, but there's a wider area and things going around to your right. So there was a few times where you might get stuck in this area more than the others. Which, as soon as you understand, oh, okay, the map goes like this, and then you turn here, it becomes a lot better. But it's still kind of a drag when that happens, as it always is. And then the final area, Radiant Diamond, is just you're kind of on a emerald track that is switching colors every so often. You just kind of go down. There are side paths as always, but it's a lot more linear. And besides the side paths, there ain't much, which is a shame. But like you do in the background get like planets and stars and all that, which is nice. But it's just, yeah, it's kind of just one long track, big area, open areas to get rings. It's not hard to get the 50 rings to open the gates to go, I guess, shortcuts, woo, and whatnot. But overall, those are the areas. And I am going to give it a 4.5. Because they are all very different. They all work well. They just, some of them were hard to maneuver around because it's such tight corridors. Like, and this is where it comes in with characters. Like, I tried the Tails doll in Radical Ruins, and that has a lot of, like, U-turn-esque things where you'd go up and then you have to turn quickly, and he just couldn't, so he's basically out of the running for that map. So yeah, 4.5 because the maps were very nice and unique, but not all characters could work on the map, which is a real problem when you have a racing game, because you should never feel like, oh, I chose wrong for a character in a certain map. That should never be what it is. But they're all nice. They all have their own little shortcuts so you can figure out, ooh, which one's faster by going through. And real fun. And then we get to the mechanics of the game. So being a racing game, your basic mechanics are running, which you just use the pad, the joystick to just run wherever you want. The L and R button you can use to turn left and right quicker, which helped me out when I finally realized that. There is a jump for certain characters, or an attack if they don't have a jump, or a turbo if they don't have a jump. Besides that, the other mechanics of the game, there are emblem type things that when you hit them, they give you certain items, but they are just stuff like more rings, or a speed boost, shield, possibly a magnetic shield. I never got that, so maybe that's just for computers. I don't know. But that's basically how it is for that. The rings are used, and I love this about the game, the rings you collect are used to either power you up through a speed boost up to 50, and you'll speed along the track quicker, which is nice, because it incentivizes you to get the rings, so you can at least go faster. Or there's also doors around that cost rings, that when you run into them and you have, let's say, 20 or 50 rings, those are the two counts, the door will open and you can go through, and it either gives you a shortcut or gets you a coin, which we'll get to in a second. So basically the mechanic of the game, get first. That's basically it. That's all. Have fun. But besides that being it, because that would just be your run-of-the-mill game, oh no. They also have two other objectives, being there are three objectives basically in total. One is get first, self-explanatory. The second is, in each stage, there's either 1 to 2 Chaos Emeralds hidden behind a locked door. So what you need to do is go around, get enough rings as you're racing, go through the door that you need, get the emerald, and then get first with the emerald to keep it with you, getting 7 in total that will unlock Supersonic, which is very nice as well, a good character. And then the third and final one is in the first 4 courses. The last course, Radiant Emerald, has none of this stuff. So it's kind of just the end course. You get the credits afterwards. Yeah, good run. Now, the Last thing is challenge coins. In the first 4 maps, there is challenge coins. Five challenge coins hidden in areas where you wouldn't really go. Possibly they're on paths. Some of them you possibly would not take because they take you out of the action a little too far. But if you explore the area and learn like, oh, okay, let's find the quickest way through, you'll basically find all of these. And they really work. They're fun. They're usually you go up, let's say a slope. Oh, there's one. Grab it and keep going. Radical Heights is the only course. No. Radical City also had it. Radiant Heights. Reactive Factory. Reactive Factory had a stupid coin where you had to open a door into a room. And then you had to turn around slowly, because you can't turn fast when you're going, as a lot of the characters. Grab the ring, then exit where you came in. Radical City had one where there was like a drop, and then there's a coin down there, which isn't too bad to get, because you can just slowly go, drop, go, get, go, run. So like those are the only 2 coins. More Reactive Factory that were really stupid, in my opinion. And just, you really had to take out. But at least with the coins, challenge coins, you need to get 3rd or better to race the person. So let's say in the first area you get 5 coins. Whatever the island was, I can't remember. Good naming. Resort Island. So Resort Island, you get the 5 coins. You unlock a race with Metal Sonic. If you beat Metal Sonic in said race, it's just you and them, then you unlock them. And then you do that for the other 3 characters. Robotnik himself is unlocked when you get first in all the courses, including Radiant Diamonds, and beat the game, which is a nice incentive to do so. But overall, for mechanics, I'm going to give it also with the characters, like I said previously, certain characters, like a lot of the characters play differently. Like Knuckles has the glide. Amy can't jump, but she has a speed boost. Eggman can't jump, but he has a shooting thing that doesn't do much. And this is where the game kind of loses it, because they're great ideas to have different characters be able to do different things. It makes sense. That's how Sonic is. Sonic can run and do speed. The Sonic Ball. What is it? Come on. I like Sonic. Don't do this. Speed Dash? Maybe. Tails can fly. I didn't really check him out. I should have. If pressing it multiple times could do more than one jump. Knuckles has a gliding mechanic where he can glide through the air. And these make it interesting. But then you have things like Toy Tails, who kind of has a double jump sometimes, but he's also hard, really, really hard to maneuver left and right if it's a tight course, which makes him basically unplayable, in my opinion. Robotnik isn't that fast. He relies more on the weapons to stay ahead, but the weapon doesn't really do much to hurt people. So again, it kind of just falls to the wayside. So I feel like with the mechanics of the different characters, they wanted to go for something interesting. And while it was interesting, it's not that fun. And some characters, like I said, unless you really put hours into them and maybe understand exactly how they work, it could be better. But yeah, no, I don't really like it. So I am going to give the game game overall, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Because I really like the unlocking mechanics in the game. Getting all the emeralds is nice. And whatnot. They reward you for getting all the challenge coins. Exploring, getting the Chaos Emeralds, getting in first is always an incentive to do so. I like it. It just falls flat, like I said, with the Reactive Factories. One coin is kind of in a room where it slows down the action completely. That should have changed, where at least there was a throughway, like every other area does. And then even Radiant City had a thing where you had to drop down, grab it, or go to a dead end and then go back. It wasn't as bad, because at least there was another way to get it, but still. And then the character mechanics were frustrating with a lot of the characters. But there are enough characters that do work properly that you can have you can have your friends over and do 4-on-4 battles without someone playing a stupid character. And allegedly you can play the same character, possibly with a different color scheme or whatnot. I don't know. But overall, 4.5 for that. So overall, I'm going to give this game a 4 because the story is kind of generic, but still makes me want to go for it with the glistening eyes to see what he created to fight us. And they are interesting designs, and I like them. The characters are interesting designs, and I like them. There's a variety of characters, 9 in all. Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, the 4 other variants. Yeah. The characters are nice and different and unique to themselves. They each have their own things, which kind of falls through, but they're just above basic. The settings, you have 5 maps in total. 4 of them look really nice and great and work. The last one is fine. It's just more linear runways, but fine nonetheless. And some of them can get very confusing, especially Reactive Factory, in some areas where you're running and you kind of get stuck where you're supposed to go because the game kind of does a good job of showing you where, but unless you like play it and figure it out. Yeah. Hi. You're probably going to be lost. And then finally you have... And then with the gimmicks of the game, the gimmicks work. I like the how you unlock stuff. It makes it fun, more challenging. You have to go out of your way to get the emeralds and challenge coins and then get back into the fray and win, or get third at least for the challenge coins. Where I think it drops the ball heavily is where each character has different skills basically and speeds. It's not a bad problem, but it just makes it unfair for certain characters if you don't understand how they work, which isn't fun. But overall, I rate it 4 out of 5. It's a fine game, has its issues, but I think it's fun enough to stand on its own. Honestly, if it did not have the challenge coins or Radiant or the Chaos Emeralds to get, it would be very bland. But yeah, overall, I like it. I wish they would make another game similar to this where it's just Sonic characters running, maybe change up the gimmicks a bit. Like, Amy could definitely run now because she's been more fleshed out with her hammer, where like she could just bat people away at some point. You could have Espio the Chameleon. He could turn invisible or even throw a shuriken. Charmy Bee can use like a sting attack. Yeah. So you could do a lot and fly a little bit more. Rouge the Bat could fly a little bit more. Do a dig. A lot of them would be similar, but at least make it a little more fair. Add more items into the game, add more stages, but that's not what this is about. Either way, 4 out of 5 for Sonic R. An enjoyable game that's basically made because of the collectibles. It's fun, it's easy, it only took me about an hour and 45 minutes. Granted, that's me knowing what's going on and a lot of where everything is. But, you know, fun. Either way, thank you, my fuzzies, for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good anytime.